Factoring these trinomials in the form of x squared plus bx plus c into two binomials. We're now moving beyond what we introduced yesterday with factoring out that greatest common monomial factor. And now we're turning and taking a trinomial and factoring it into two binomials. Okay? Now, I want you to make sure you understand, guys, what's in front of here? What's really my a up here that you do not see as a coefficient? 1. This is the key. Tomorrow's lesson, or on Tuesday, if we have to wait till Tuesday to go over 9-6, a is no longer 1 anymore. And that puts a whole other wrinkle in factoring when this a right here is no longer 1. But for today's lesson, when you have a polynomial, or a trinomial in this case, a 3-term polynomial, that a is 1, I want you to factor using this method that I show you today. Okay, which is, here's my rule, this is the one we're going to follow all day today, the rule is, factors of this c, excuse me, and this c is a constant term, okay? Factors of c whose sum is this term here, the b. So, and I'll show you how that may not make a lot of sense right now, but when we actually do it, it's going to make a ton of sense, okay? Alright, so, the rule we're going to follow is this right here. So we're going to keep on going back up to this rule. Going back up to the rule. Every time I go to an example, I'm going to go back to the rule. Factors of c whose sum is b. Okay? Alright, here we go. We're going to write into an example. And we're going to start with when c is positive. Okay? Example 1. We're going to factor. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and start with a squared plus 7a plus 10. A squared plus 7a plus 10. So we're going to factor this trinomial into two binomials. Okay? So I want everybody right now, just go ahead and just put your parentheses for it, the space to put two, obviously a binomial times a binomial there. Okay? Alright, here's how we do it. Okay? What we're going to do first of all is figure out what goes here and here to get a squared. Remember when we FOILed? We took this term times this term and always equal the first term? So what times what, guys, would get me a squared? What do you multiply? A times a, right? So we put a here and an a here. And we already started factoring our trinomial into two binomials already. Now, go to your last term, your c. What sign is my c? Positive or negative? If I go back up to my rules, am I coming up with factors of c, which means numbers multiplied that equal c? If c is positive, how do I get a positive when I multiply? What do the signs have to be to get a positive? Same, right? Either positive, positive, or negative, negative, right? No, she didn't. That's okay. Okay. All right. We'll stay here. Okay. So factors of c whose sum is b. Well, let's think about this. First of all, let's figure out the signs. So if the last term is positive, we understand they have to be the same signs, right? The only way to get a positive is either a positive times a positive or a negative times a negative. Here's the key. Here's what you're putting here. Look at the middle term. Whatever the middle term is going to tell you what these two signs are going to be. So what are they both going to be if the middle term is positive? They're both going to be what? They're both going to be positive. Okay. All we have to do now, guys, is just figure out what factors we're getting for 10. Okay? Next thing I want you to do is I want you to put c out here over to the right of here. What's my c up here? 10. Everybody put 10 over here. That's my c. This is the number I had to come up with factors of. Can you think of the factors of 10 right now? Give me all the factors of positive 10. Stephen, give me one.
2 and 5.
2 and 5. Give me another set.
10 and 1.
10 and 1, right? What did we say they both had to be again?
Positive.
Both would be positive, right? So guys, what's 1 times 10? 10. Well, what is 1 plus 10? Does that give me a sum of 7? So cross those two out. Those don't work. Now go to your 2 and your 5. What's 2 times 5?
7.
What's 2 plus 5?
7.
Is that the middle term that we wanted?
Yep.
So guess what? We just found our two terms. So there's 2, and there's 5, and we've just factored a squared plus 7a plus 10 into two binomials.
Okay.
Remember when before we multiplied, we used FOIL, and we said, oh, we took these two and multiplied, and we got this? Now what are we doing? We're reversing it, aren't we? Just doing the reverse of what we did before. Now, how do you think we can tell whether we got it right or not? I really don't know right now if I got it right or not. What could I do? I could FOIL or use a table. So let's go ahead and check and make sure it's right. We know it is, but we'll just make sure. All right, what goes here and here, guys? A and what? A and 2. What goes here and here? A and 5. What's A times A? A squared. A times 5? 5A. 2 times A? 2A. And 2 times 5? 10. All right, like terms, bring down A squared plus, what's 5A plus 2A? Good, not 7A squared, right? Because we're adding, we add only the coefficients. We do nothing with the A's. Plus, and what's our last term? Is that what we started with? So did we factor it right? Yep. And this is the answer I'm looking for, guys. Not the checking part, just the area where you get the right answer. Ready to do another one? All right. Okay. So again, what's our rule? Factors of C, whose sum is B. There's that same rule I want you to continue to ask yourself. Factors of C, whose sum is B. Okay? All right, let's do another one. Let's do one where that middle term is negative. All right, factor again. All right, let's do t squared minus 8t plus 12. Okay? All right, again, start by looking at what C is. First of all, what do we want to just go ahead and draw? 2 what? 2 sets of parentheses, right? Yeah? Okay, class, what is going to go here and here to get t squared? T. So everybody put a t here. T. My t's look like my pluses, so that's why I make it a little bit bigger of a t. All right. If these are both t's, which is good, now let's figure out what the signs have to be. If the last term is positive, what are they going to be, same or opposite? They're going to be same. Does everybody understand that when you multiply to get a positive, they have to be same signs, right? Okay, what is going to tell me if they're going to be plus, plus, or minus, minus? The middle term, right? What's my middle term up here? It's negative, right? So what does that mean they're both going to have to be? They're both going to have to be negative, right, Riley? Right. Bailey, I heard you guys say it. Okay? Both have to be negative. Now we've got to figure what goes here and here. So what are we going to put over here to find factors of? 12, right. Right, Bailey. We have to figure out factors of 12. Give me all the factors of 12. They both have to be negative. Yep. Bless you. Negative 1, negative 12. Negative 2, negative what? 6, and negative what? Negative 4, negative 3. Now, do I need any other combinations? No. Because those are all the combinations of a positive 12 and multiplied where they're both negative. Okay? What's the sum of negative 1 plus negative 12? Negative what? Negative 13, right? Is that what I want? No. What's the sum of negative 2, negative 6? Is that what I want? Yep. So obviously I don't need this one, because that'd give me a what? A sum of negative 7, right? And that's what I don't want. So that's why these two are the ones I'm going to use. Okay? They're same signs, right? So does it really make a difference what one goes where? Now, not if they're same signs. So what do you want to put here? 2, and what goes here? 6. And you just factored that. Let's use FOIL this time to check, just to kind of yes, Benny?
Do we have to
No. No, I just like to do it just to make sure, and that kind of just reiterates what I taught you in FOIL. All right, what's t squared? T times t is t squared. Outside, t times negative 6 is negative 6t, plus inside, which is negative 2t, and then obviously negative 12, 2 times a negative 6 is positive 12. Outside plus the inside of your like terms, t squared, negative 6t minus 2t is negative 8t. Did I get what I started with? So we did factor it correctly. You have to make sure, guys, that you pay attention to the signs. The signs are the key, because the next one I do, really going to be important that you pay attention to the signs and watch. All right. Do we feel comfortable enough with the first two?
Yeah.
Notice that C was what in both of them? Positive or negative?
Positive.
There's it. So what do you think now C is going to be when I do the next one? C is going to be negative, right? Good. Okay. Let's go ahead and try one of those, and then we're going to do one where we solve, and then I will be done with your notes.